Welcome to the Newcomer Podcast. I'm Eric Newcomer. Thrilled to have Nayeema Raza, independent journalist, co-host of Smart Girl, Dumb Questions, here with me. We are about to together host Deus Ex Medicina, our brand new AI health and longevity summit. Nayeema, welcome to the show.
Well, hi, Eric. Thank you for having me. I feel like these are like our wedding vows or something.
You're the pro, so really you should be guiding us through this podcast.
Oh, I don't know. It was like a long con. I somehow got Eric I'm like, I would love if we could collaborate on a conference. Should we tell people the story of why we're doing this thing?
So what is the story? I remember we got coffee and I was like, wow, Nayeema seems to really know everybody, excited, cool, someone I want to do stuff with. And we were kicking around conference ideas. I don't know. What's the story in your mind, or how did this all come together?
Yeah. So what happened was, I remember, Eric, you had tweeted something, or you actually wrote you wrote a Substack. It was like October of 2024. And I get the Substack from Eric, and it's basically like, oh, ever since I left the media business, this dying media business, which I was covering at the time because I was doing a show with Ben Smith at Semaphore called Mixed Signals, which he still does with Max Tani. It's awesome. You should check it out. But, you're like, I've left this dying media, legacy media business, and I just made $4 million and I'm hiring people.
I don't think it was 4 million. But yeah. I think
how many millions was it, Eric?
We said 2 million revenue on $1 million, 2 million plus revenue on $1 million. And profit is basically what we said, with ambitions to sort of continue to grow it. Yeah, I really put out the bat signal that we were a media business with money and wanted more respect and, wanted to work with fun, cool people.
Yeah, in Jay-Z language, that's known as this for those watching on YouTube. It's just that.
Well, it's just like everybody else. I mean, everybody else brags about how much money they raised, and here we're a business making money. At some point, you just need to say, well, here's what's going on.
Which is awesome. So congratulations, Eric. And I was like, we'd met each other before. We'd met at the Code conference. We kind of had people in common. And I reached out to you and I was like, hey, Eric, you have this great business. You're looking to do more events. I don't want a job, but I want to go and host things because I love interviewing people. That's my bread and butter. I love doing stage events. I'm a big believer in the return to live in the age of AI.
Right.
And if you have the infrastructure to handle all this, I would love to partner with you editorially. That's what happened.
I think we're both spiritually similar and we love to host. We're different people, obviously, but I was saying to someone literally yesterday, I was like, we hosted the first Cerebral Valley AI Summit the same year I got married, and it's like, oh, I love being a groom. I love everybody so excited to meet you. It's like, it's hard to network any other way once you've had the taste.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I love to host, but I think the actual infrastructure around it, there's so much that goes into an event. There's an amazing team, people like Riley.
Yeah.
So many people have been involved in helping boost and support this event. And that's the stuff that, even though I came up as a producer, I'm like, I love the stage stuff. I love having the conversations, thinking about what we're going to talk about. And I couldn't be more excited because you have killed it in this AI event space. And I just think we're ripe to have a conversation about this next era in American healthcare in a way that really bridges the technology, the AI, the consumer trends, the policy shift. And I'm so excited to be doing this on September 9th in San Francisco.
So Deus Ex Medicina, we agonized over the name. I don't know if you've noticed, by the way, Twitter is auto-correcting it out of Latin because it's translating it for you. So AI is ruining our beautiful name.
I can only imagine Grok AI does not like anybody else being called.
Person, or where? Or you're just off of
No,
it
I'm
all?
not. I'm like, no. I like to thirst trap with my pictures on Instagram, like a real millennial.
I see.
Just
you're a YouTuber now,
Exactly. No, but I can imagine that Grok and X might not like anyone else being called DX, being called God.
Oh, I see. It's the X. They're sabotaging us. But yeah, I mean, we really saw, we've been hosting Cerebral Valley since March 2023. Obviously, that's really focused on sort of foundation models and people, building software. We had Anthropic CEO Alexander Wang at Scale. Just in London, we had, Dara at Uber. Well, we didn't have a lot of the health piece of it, but that was clearly becoming a larger and larger piece of the AI story. So there was that. There was sort of this longevity thing that's been going on. And then there's sort of all the change that's happening, whatever you think about it, because of what's happening with Maha, RFK, and the Trump administration. So I was just like, together we were like, oh, there are these three wild themes, and it's a little wild, but I do think going into it, we were like, oh, there's this set of Silicon Valley people that are going to get it. Like, this is just like
Yeah.
the first Cerebral Valley, where if you're paying attention, you're like, oh man, there are a lot of interesting things going on at once that Silicon Valley loves, because that means things are investable.
I mean, you're a technology journalist as your build, but I have often thought, I mean, technology is like infrastructure. It's kind of like being like, I work in road because like I happen to take one on the way to my office, you know. But I think that it is a, I just had a conversation with one legacy media outlet that's very concerned about like how do its audience understand technology, et cetera. And
Yeah.
we were talking about it, and I'm like, it's kind of just everything now. But
Right.
healthcare is a great way into the topic because everybody cares so much about healthcare. I mean, we're in a moment where obviously, you know, we saw in New York City the killing of the United Healthcare CEO last fall. Even this recent shooting that happened on Park Avenue with the NFL. I mean, there was a concussion background to it. I think healthcare is just such a human and real.
Right.
I mean, everything I say right now is going to sound so dumb and earnest, but like it is the thing that touches all of our lives and all
Right.
of our parents' lives
Definitely.
from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
moment we're
yeah.
born. And when I started Smart Girl Dumb Questions, the first episode I did was Can Billionaires Save Us with Mark Cuban, talking about capitalism and healthcare. And
Right.
he outlined this vision for how private healthcare is going to be the only way to get to a kind of national single payer system over time. You know, so I just think it is the best place to talk about some of these
Right.
themes, including AI, including policy. We went through some bad names. I, for a second, thought we should call it Maha Valley. Eric was like, no.
Yeah, we got very close to that, but I think, we clearly want to reflect, a couple different themes. But there was
Yeah.
something with blood too that we like really agonized over. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah,
I
you
can't-
wanted to call it something. I was like, what is that? That sounds so
You
terrible.
lucked out
You
it was
wanted
like
to
a video game. So then I was like, I don't know if it was that or there was some random summit. I can't remember.
I don't
what
know.
is
It was
anymore.
like finger prick or something. I was like, okay, Elizabeth Holmes, calm down. We're not gonna call it that. It's like,
Anyway,
did you come up with
this
the
gets
one?
at sort of the technology, the sort of
Yes.
creation, it's a little bit sci-fi. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know that ahead of Cerebral Valley, I'll have my co-hosts Max and James. You actually, I think, are friends, or you went to business school with Max, right?
I did.
You
Max
guys know
Child
each
dropped
other,
out of
so
business school.
small-
He took his
small world.
excellent
Oh, yeah.
voice.
He's too. You're always like, he's too cool for school. Yeah. So Max and James and I, do an episode or two
Mhm.
before the conference, just sort of like, talking about what's going to come. And I thought one of my favorite pieces from those conversations is often just like, what themes do you think are going to emerge? So we don't want to like spoil everything. Obviously, the joy of these events is like the unexpected, and the answers we don't know, but we're obviously diligent journalists, so we've done prep calls. So I wanted to play this game with Nayeema of just coming up, each of us taking turns with 3 themes that we think will emerge and that we're excited to sort of interrogate during Deus Ex Medicina.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't do my homework because I'm like, oh, podcast.
You're
I do
like,
this
yeah,
one
well,
every
we'll figure it
day.
out.
Yeah. But I love it. Why don't you go first? And then I'll be like, you stole all my great ideas. No. I just want to do better than Max Child.
Well, yeah, we all love a little. This is a very competitive, I think, podcast in general.
I mean, Max already won because the trick is leaving. Like the most successful people drop out of school.
I think
so
that's
Max already
literally. I
beat
think
me.
Balaji, or I don't know, somebody gave a speech, I think, while he was at business school. It was like, you need to drop out. It's classic Stanford. Everybody's trying to drop
Max
out,
Child, disciple of Balaji. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay, longevity is everywhere, so longevity is nowhere. I think that with the rise of GLP-1s, it's like, yeah, duh, longevity. It's like between statins and GLP-1s, everyone clearly sees that helping pretty healthy people have higher quality of life, longer life is a big moneymaker, is a good idea, something that people want, something that maybe consumers will even spend money on out of pocket. And I think longevity has been this term that said the medical world, you don't embrace like life extension, so we need to give it a different name. But now with Wegovy and everything else, it's just clear that like this is a big opportunity. And I think the questions will be much more, when does like sort of big pharma and everybody else sort of explicitly say we're going after like anti-aging and just embrace it themselves? But I think it's a matter of when.
Okay.
Not
I love
so
that.
longevity is everywhere. So longevity, the word, is nowhere. Do you agree?
Is nowhere. Oh, do I agree with that? The way I think about this in my kind of Smart Girl Dumb Questions framework is like, why are millennials so optimistic that we want to live forever, but so pessimistic that we don't want to procreate? Like, what is happening to our generation? But do I agree? I think that longevity is very much in the zeitgeist and very much in our culture, but it is Americanized and commercial. I think the experience of longevity in America is so specific to the United States that even if you like go across the pond to Europe,
Right.
you do not see this obsession.
Right.
There's something uniquely American that is happening here. And I feel like the
Right.
capitalist movement into the longevity space is an example of that. The use cases for GLP-1s are very particular in the United States
Exactly.
as well. You're
Right.
seeing this commercialization and this visualization of longevity in the United States. Do I think it's
We're gonna have a
everywhere? No,
great
because
push
I
and
think it's like
pull
in the
because
contiguous
I
United
clearly see
States.
the world. It's like once capitalism has embraced it, it is everywhere. And you're like, oh, there's more than just whether like every
I'm like,
company in
oh,
healthcare sees like, oh, this is a way to make money. It's like there's more to that, Eric. But yeah, sorry.
yeah, but I do
Right.
think it's a profound moment because Americans are really reconsidering like longevity and health and buying into that. However, we know from the health data that we pay more than most other countries. We have worse health
Right.
outcomes than most other countries. Consternation around what's in our food supply, what do we use, plastics in our ecosystem, whatever it is. Like people are very concerned about their health, but it's all happening in a relatively unregulated, highly capitalistic and commercialized world. So I agree with you. In the United States, longevity is now everywhere, and therefore it's nowhere. But I think in the rest of the world, it's nowhere, and somehow it's everywhere.
Yeah. Well,
No, in the rest of
Europe
the
is a
world,
couple beats behind everybody else, I guess.
no. But I think actually what I'm saying is different. It's like the rest of the world, longevity is nowhere to be discussed and everywhere to be had. People are
Yeah.
living
Well, yeah. I
longer
guess
and
America
healthier.
needs to match the lifespans of some other countries. All right.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, I like that.
Lots
I
to
like that.
unpack there. All right, Naima, you're
Okay.
up.
Should I do one? So I think that the future of medicine is N of one. It is
Go expound on
all,
it. I think I know what I've
yeah.
learned the health lingo a little bit, enough to know what you're saying, but explain it a little bit more.
Like, even if you think about a concept like longevity that we're talking about, it's no longer going to be about, the average lifespan in the United States is in the mid 70s and I'm going to live to the 90s. It's like, I, based on my own biometric information, the genetic data that I have, everything I know about myself, should be expected to live based on my parents' history, everything should be expected to live to, I don't know, 87. But I believe that I can extend that to 100 and I believe that I can be, at age 39 feel like I'm age 27. That is what I mean. It's so personalized and everything
Right.
that you're seeing
And there's
in
obviously this big
healthcare.
movement in health around drugs that are like specifically targeted to you and treatments and like
Yes,
do
exactly.
we
That's
do
where I was going
right.
to go. So, for example, we're doing this one panel at DS that's going to be around novel biosciences and therapeutics. And we're going to have Janice Chen from Mammoth Biosciences, as well as Jacob McCraft from Strand Therapeutics. And if you look at what's happening in healthcare, like the idea that you can find out what particular cancer somebody has, what cells, what bad cells are replicating, how we go into their genetic code to create individualized medicine, individualized therapies. Some of this is preclinical, but that is the future of medicine. It is all going to be against yourself. It is a very different world to operate in. I don't know what it means for clinical care, et cetera, which gets to my second theme, which I will not scoop myself on.
My one response to that,
Yeah, tell me.
I definitely think it's a trend, but I'm of two minds. I think one pushback is just like if AI is really one of the transformational forces, like it's
Uh-huh.
desperate for data. And in some of the things people already want to do, like improve drug discovery, there are questions of like, does it have all the data it needs to improve how, like somebody was literally just telling me today, it's like, if we're using AI to improve trials, we don't actually know what curing Alzheimer looks like. So how does AI model that, right? Because we don't
Yes.
even have the data. And so then if you're saying, oh, are we going to make leaps with the individual? It's like even harder for AI just to know, even on a system wide, let alone an individual. And I get there are lots of different pieces of
Yeah.
technology happening at once, but I probably lean a little bit more on the like, there's a lot of work on like the big side
On the general
necessarily.
meta.
Though even there
And
are
I
a lot of
think
people doing exactly what you're saying.
no, and I think there's probably like some income distribution to this thing, which is like there's going to be a group of people who, and you already hear about people who are coming up with unique PCR tests and funding development of their own personalized mRNA vaccines for their own
Right.
type of cancer in their family, whatever it is. So you're hearing stories about that happening. Meanwhile, you're right. The big push is going to be on raw data. But that, I mean, you in healthcare are an anecdote. I just wore a CGM for a couple of weeks because I'm seeing this longevity doctor right now as just part of
CGM?
CGM, continuous glucose monitoring, like
Oh, okay,
levels.
okay. You're
Remember
like,
the
get with
memes?
it.
Yeah, get with it. Be live forever. What are you doing?
I think I don't know if I've said this on the podcast. I'm going to be open about this at the event. I've started taking Wegovy, so I'm deep in one of the
Oh, wow.
GLP-1 things. So at least on that front, I'm not the full medical dose. I'm like the one before
Yeah.
that. So it's an ongoing experiment. So I'm certainly and I use like one medical or whatever, but I'm
Yeah.
not deep in. I wouldn't say hey, I'm a super health hacker. I'm always asking these health people, and I'm sure I'll ask them at the event on Tuesday, some of them like, do you do anything different? And honestly,
Yeah.
some of the more medical people, they're like, no, I don't do anything weird. Like, so it'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see if we can get anyone to say like, oh yeah, I'm doing something
No,
unusual
I'm
here.
super curious when I'm speaking to Celine from Loyal and Seju
No,
from
I just
Noom
talked to her.
what they're doing.
Spoil. She doesn't do anything weird. She is
Uh,
like, she
hopefully
believes in
Seju from Noom is
longevity.
doing some stuff.
She's like, no, you need to see the studies and everything. Like, even sort of a big believer in longevity. She's doing life extension for dogs, which I'm super excited to talk about.
Yes.
Anyway,
Going to be so
should
excited.
we
And
go to the
and
next
and Noom
theme?
has just gotten into microdosing GLP-1. So one,
Yep.
very cool. Thank you for sharing with us about the Wegovy. I'm so curious what you'll learn from it. I've thought about it as well. Like I've definitely talked to doctors about microdosing. I'm very worried about it because I'm worried about losing any muscle mass.
Right.
It's so important for women to retain muscle mass, and
Yeah.
it becomes harder in your mid to late 30s and beyond. And so it's something that I think a lot about. Oh, I was going to say the CGM thing. I just want to say one thing on CGM.
Oh, yeah,
I was
yeah,
wearing the CGM. And for example, like everyone will tell you, oh, carbs, rice, whatever. Like I don't spike. I don't spike with ice cream. I didn't spike with
Huh.
cookies. I'm not saying it's not, it's
Oh,
good
I
for
should
me
try this.
somehow.
I hate blood.
But
You know, I'm like a big fainter about blood.
but you won't see any. It just like it goes into your
I
arm.
know, and I take the shots with Wegovy. So, and I gave
Yeah.
my wife all these. I think I can say this, all these IVF shots. So I'm used to.
Yes. Well, I mean, now
that.
I'm doubly confused about why you wanted to call it like blood point or whatever bad name you wanted to give to our conference when you
That
tried
I'm
to
afraid
ruin
of
it.
blood. Well, it's just, you got to lean into your weaknesses. All right. We
Yes.
gotta
Okay.
keep
Confront your
bringing it
fears.
down here.
Okay. Second
All right.
trend. What do you got? What do you got up your sleeve?
This is a big idea, but I'm just
Okay.
calling it friends to enemies. Like, I think there are a lot of these
Yes.
companies that are just going to collide. Like certainly at all our AI events, OpenAI and Anthropic loom large, and some of these companies build on top of them, but they're trying to make sure it's like, we need you, but we can do our own thing. And then even all the companies in the space, they're raising at such high valuations that they need to be everything. And so
Yeah.
I think it's a small world. Everybody knows each other. They try to be friendly, but they also have these enormous valuations that they need to justify. And so I think there's going to be this, are we partners or are we competitors? And
Ooh,
I think
I like it. Yeah, I kind
pervasive.
of feel the frenemy ship that's evolving even as we're, kind of prepping for this because partnerships are always an interesting reality in the healthcare space. I have a related one to this, which is
Okay.
race to the bundle, race to the bundles. I think this
Interesting.
is like, I came up in kind of documentary film. I worked briefly at Jason Kyler's Vessel, had raised $125 million
Huh.
for like a short format video service that was going to window YouTube content for 3 days. I mean, I won't,
Man, you're
it was,
100 lives. Wow, I didn't know
I
that.
know, I turned down an offer to be like employee number 120 at Stripe to do that.
Huh.
Yes.
Not a good
It's on my
financial
list of
decision.
interesting decisions, yeah. But but what I will say is, what you've seen in the streaming wars, I think is really interesting because of this push, because of the trends that are happening, which is consumers as payers and increasingly subscription fees versus fee for service, which has been the historical model of healthcare delivery. You have data at your fingertips and subscription pay versus, data in the hand of the clinician and fee for service. So that's been a huge shift. And as a result of that, I think it's like, okay, consumers are going to be like, well, how many, I don't want to pay for Peacock and Netflix
Right.
and Hulu and whatever. I love all you guys, Peacock, Netflix, Hulu. We love you guys of my pod, some of you. But I do think that there's going to be kind of a reckoning where not everyone can. Who are the big IPOs? That's a big question I have. Who do you think are the big IPOs? Because I think we have some big IPOs coming to our conference. Future
Interesting.
IPOs.
I mean, it's going to take a while. Well, a funny thing is that this space has extreme hype and extreme pessimism in that biotech has been in a terrible downturn, but obviously computational AI based companies are raising at massive valuations. And biotech companies are traditionally the ones that like go public early on, whereas
Yeah.
the highly valued AI startups are like, oh, I'll just raise from the private market. So I honestly, I don't have a great read on who's like about to go out.
Yeah.
It's sort of a mixed, it's like who can frame themselves which way.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. But I do think that some of these, you have these companies that are all of a sudden, I think, Aura did a partnership with, I'm going to forget the name, but Aura did a partnership with a CGM company. Now you know what CGMs are. So,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not wear it all the time. And it's something that the ring can't do, but it is, how do you integrate that data around? They've always had this idea of experimentation at Aura. So, like, can you not drink
Right.
coffee for a couple weeks? Can you not?
Right.
And so this is a kind of in the model of experimentation, they can have these partnerships that are going to teach their consumers so much. The question is over time, do you develop a bundle? Do you acquire these companies? Do you vertically integrate? Are you doing everything? Or does some strategic just come in and buy the thing?
All right. So that was about bundling.
Bundling. Yeah.
Bundling services and companies. My third and final theme is drama blinders. It's like there have been major changes at the, CDC. Obviously, Maha is, proposing a lot of things. Some people in the medical community will have, are certainly more dem aligned, I think. But I think that honestly, more than I think people sort of, I'll be interested to see. But I think a lot of people are going to be like, doing my thing. Happy to work with the government where it's possible, like excited that they're taking swings. I don't know. I think there will be there's so much going on. There's so much opportunity. I think that there's going to be some desire to avoid
Confrontation.
conflict, not just with the administration, but just sort of like, like this fitting with my first theme, like the longevity. It's like, these are not the Brian Johnson's types. Like we didn't extend an invitation to Brian Johnson here, partially because I wanted sort of like the real, like a builder class of people here. And I do think a lot of the people who are going to be speaking are like, not necessarily trying to, they're not selling like what some, I don't know, like what do they even call supplement or whatever, I just think we're not going to have sort of the grifter class here, which you can often see in longevity. And we're not going to see people looking to like fight with the administration. And so drama blinders maybe doesn't even fully capture it. It's sort of like, hard at work, focus on their thing. I don't know.
Since the pandemic, there has been this real politicization of healthcare we have seen for sure. And it is even through this last week when we have seen the CDC appointee from the Trump administration is no longer holding the job. All of a sudden, there's been a acting CDC director appointment for Deputy Health Secretary Jim O'Neill.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, these are his people. He was in Silicon Valley. Like, I think for the Trump administration to have a super positive health agenda, besides, maybe some of like the food quality stuff, having us sort of work around what's happening in AI makes a lot of sense. So I think it's a natural place for him to be.
Yeah. So Jim O'Neill has roots in Silicon Valley, had worked in HHS under, Bush 43 administration, had been the CEO of the Thiel Foundation, worked at various investment firms in the Valley for a long time. But there's a really interesting shakeup happening in American healthcare. There is a lot of media coverage about that. I think that there is a real question around the future of science, the role of private sector companies, the role of the public sector. You're seeing in the big beautiful bill cuts to health provision programs, particularly Medicaid. You're also seeing these big olive branches extended to private companies. Noom or companies are actually working with CMS and HHS on this great data collection. I'm really interested to hear about what is the future of healthcare? What is the conversation that's happening in Washington? What is the role of Silicon Valley? What is the role of science, et cetera? We have a lot to discuss. But my last theme, the end of privacy.
Ooh, interesting. That's a good different direction.
Like, what even is HIPAA anymore, right? Like HIPAA.
And who wants it,
Like all of a sudden,
Silicon Valley aligned on it. But it's just like for all of us, you're putting devices to yourself. It's just like, I feel like HIPAA.
By the way, I am like somebody who doesn't have my memory on ChatGPT, and I'm like, let me give you my minute-to-minute blood glucose data.
Privacy to me is, I never have been a big privacy person. I want these companies to have the information.
Yeah, and that's where I think the integration is really interesting, and that's actually where I think there's been some surprising moves out of DC, including the stake in Intel, right? We did not expect the Republican Party to be doing, joint stock ventures in the mode of, percentage stakes in private companies. I used to see that when I worked in Vietnam in my past 100 lives. But they are the ones they're pushing for this great data integration across all these streams. Now, there's also a lot of, concerns about that. You hear particularly for women and their fertility data. I'm curious to talk to Maven and Nora about this. Like, there's a lot happening, unfolding in the world of privacy and data, and what does your private health
Right.
data mean, and can it save other people's lives? Is, mission to actually
And
sharing.
I'm interviewing Han Pak, Samsung's top
Yes.
health executive, and obviously they take data very seriously. I mean, they have an interesting position that a lot of their devices, customers are not buying in necessarily with health as the first and only thing. So you have to balance, what do people think about this device is for, while providing value to people who want health information. And so I think there are
Mhm.
interesting trade-offs there.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yep.
End of privacy, maybe the end of longevity, frenemies galore. This is going to be so much
End of
fun.
longevity
September 9th.
in its sort of gone mainstream moment. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think there's a lot we're not even thinking about yet. I
Mhm.
mean, the potential, if any one of these companies that we talk to discovers, the next statin, the
Yeah.
next GLP-1, it'll be amazing. One discovery like that could be transformational. I think,
Yeah.
on the flip side, in AI, I think, while we've seen progress from people like Alphabet, and there's still like, AI producing novelty is still, in
Yes.
my mind, an open question as somebody who follows this
Right.
closely. And there's nowhere we want it more than in health, right? We want
Yeah.
some novel thing that humans couldn't figure out. And so I think taking
Right.
the temperature on everybody on like, will AI be able to produce something new? I'll be interested to hear.
Yes. I mean, one thing I didn't mention, and it was part of my kind of N of one thesis, is this huge move into genomics and baby sequencing. We have Robert Green coming from Harvard Medical School. He's overseen the greatest kind of genetic sequencing project as it relates to babies and children. That was done in the UK, where there is a preponderance of data. So I think like the unlocking of data allows a ton of research, a lot of discovery. It's a huge shift. But I think we should end on a bit of a sci-fi future prediction of the world.
Sure.
But there is something in, in the film Gattaca, or as my cousin in Pakistan, Omar, called it when we went to rent it from the movie store, Gattaca, the Ethan Hawke film. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking about?
okay.
Gattaca.
Gattaca. I've heard of it. Yeah,
Gattaca.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if
Gattaca.
I've actually watched it.
You
What's the
haven't seen it?
take?
It was like really, it's
No.
like from like
I
when you're a
like
kid.
sci-fi,
It's like babies. But this idea of like kind of choosing your baby and what color eyes, et cetera, et
Yeah, yeah.
cetera. I mean, we're in a world where that is not necessarily where we're going, but the idea that you can know from the, from the biology and the genetics of an embryo or
Right.
a newly born child, what is likely to happen to them in the course of their life, and that
Right.
they could maybe have customized healthcare that anticipates that, sees the signs of that early on, and potentially has customized
Right.
drugs to deal with these interventions. I mean, how we're going to do this at scale for everybody, and this doesn't become like a great luxury, like the great business class of healthcare, is going to
Right.
be something to say. But we've already seen so much real technological movement, and a lot of this is going to be unleashed through AI. It's like the back end stuff, and a lot of these companies that we're seeing of how you're using AI in clinical trials. How are you seeing AI optimize a
Exactly.
diagnosis? Those companies are
It is.
super interesting
Yeah.
too.
I mean, my other, personal health journey is just, my wife weeded out BRCA from our child that is
Mm,
due soon after this conference. So it'll
yeah.
be interesting. Obviously that's a deeply personal theme. And then I'll be seeing this whole conference just from the perspective of what's my kid gonna get? Or like what's this
Yeah.
kid gonna benefit from? And it definitely gives you, it'll give me a different perspective. Anyway, Nayeema, so excited to do this. I think it's gonna be a really fun event. Obviously, not everybody listening to this is gonna get to go in person, but we will be publishing videos as always from the event and writing up sort of the key takeaways in the Substack. So subscribe to Newcomer and go listen to Smart Girl, Dumb Questions. Nayeema Raza, thanks so much for doing this with me.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's me fun. See you on Tuesday.
Sounds good. All right. See ya.
Bye.